People love the myth of the solo founder, the lone genius hunched over a laptop in some dim apartment, fueled by caffeine, brilliance, and the unshakable conviction that destiny is carved by those who dare to walk alone. They imagine a heroic silhouette, backlit by the glow of the screen, conquering impossible odds with sheer willpower. But the truth is far less cinematic. The solo founder's journey is not heroic. It is brutal. It is lonely. It is a daily negotiation between ambition and exhaustion, between dreams that soar and fears that suffocate. And the hardest battles are the ones no one ever sees. I didn't set out to be a solo founder. In fact, I started like everyone else, searching for a partner, someone who would share the madness, the burden, the long nights, and looming failures. But the people I trusted peeled away, some politely, some abruptly, some without a word. Eventually, I found myself standing alone with an idea that refused to leave me. And that's the thing about certain ideas. Even when everyone else walks away, they stay. They cling to your ribs. They whisper at night. They demand to be built. So I built it, alone. In the beginning, the silence was comforting. No disagreements, no debates, no compromises. Just me, my stubbornness, and the terrifying freedom to make every decision without asking permission. But freedom quickly transforms into weight, and that weight became my shadow. The first challenge wasn't technical, it wasn't financial, it was psychological. When you're a solo founder, every voice of doubt in your head becomes amplified. There is no partner to counterbalance the darkness. No one to say, "We'll figure it out." No one to remind you that failure isn't fatal. Your mind becomes both your only ally and your most vicious enemy. I remember nights when I stared at the screen for hours, hands frozen above the keyboard, unable to write a single line of code because the voice in my head kept whispering, "What if this is all a waste of time?" But then the morning came, and I built anyway, not because I was fearless, but because the fear of regretting inaction was louder than the fear of failing. People talk about product-market fit as if it's found through clever frameworks and user interviews. But when you're building alone, product-market fit is often just the process of fighting through your own uncertainty long enough to realize the idea still wants to live. The first time a stranger used my product, I cried. No exaggeration. I cried because, for the first time in months, it wasn't just me. Someone else saw value in something that had nearly destroyed me. But with growth came a new wave of challenges ones no solo founder is ever prepared for. Customer support? Me. Product design? Me. Engineering? Me. Sales? Me. Fundraising? Me. Legal? Me. The solo founder's job is not building a company, it is becoming a company. Every skill you lack becomes a mountain you must climb. Every weakness becomes a problem that waits for you at 2 a.m. And the worst part is that people assume you're strong simply because you're alone. They mistake isolation for independence, loneliness for leadership. But solo founders don't choose independence, they endure it. I hit my breaking point 6 months in. Revenue was non-existent. Bugs were everywhere. My savings evaporated so fast it felt like watching a slow-motion drowning. I ate rice and eggs for weeks, lost weight, lost sleep, lost pieces of myself I didn't realize were detachable. And then, the darkest moment arrived the night I almost quit. It was raining, violently. The kind of storm that makes cities feel like grieving creatures. I sat at my desk, soaked in blue light, staring at metrics that made my chest tighten. For a moment, one long, painful moment, I closed my laptop and whispered, "Maybe this isn't meant for me." And with that whisper came a flood of sorrow, grief, really. The grief of letting go of the last fragile thing you've been holding together. But then something unexpected happened. My phone buzzed. A user had sent an unsolicited message. "Hey, I just wanted to say your product helped me solve something I've been stuck on for months. Don't stop building this." One message, one stranger, one lifeline. And suddenly the storm outside didn't feel as loud. That night taught me the truth that carried me through the years that followed. Solo founders don't succeed because they're strong. They succeed because someone, somewhere, gives them one more reason not to quit. After that, the journey didn't get easier, but it got clearer. I learned how to build systems that saved my sanity. I learned how to automate what I couldn't handle. I learned how to ask for help without shame, a skill far more crucial than any business tactic. Slowly, the product grew. Users trickled in, then multiplied. The loneliness didn't disappear, but it became familiar, like an echo I learned to live with. Then came the moment I'll never forget. A company reached out about a potential partnership. They thought we were a team of 10. They had no idea the entire company was a man in sweatpants typing on a laptop held together with duct tape. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. Instead, I took the call. And as the partnership grew, the business transformed. But with growth came the challenge of scaling a culture of one. No co-founder to sanity check decisions. No trusted partner to say, this is the wrong direction. I had to become my own critic and my own cheerleader, my own strategist and my own therapist, my own protector and my own challenger. It was exhausting, and yet it forged me. Every pain point became a new layer of resilience. Every mistake became a teacher. Every tiny win became a reminder that building alone isn't a curse, it's an initiation. And then came the moment that changed everything. I realized I didn't want to be alone anymore. Not because I was weak, but because the company had grown beyond the limits of a single human being. The solo founder's real triumph is not surviving the journey alone. It's recognizing the moment when the mission deserves more than one set of shoulders carrying it. So, I hired my first employee, a generalist, a believer, someone who understood the scrappiness, the scars, the history etched into the product. And when she joined, something shifted inside the company and inside me. For the first time, the burden felt shareable. For the first time, I could breathe. For the first time, I saw the next chapter clearly, because solo isn't a permanent state. It's a rite of passage, a forge. And standing there on the day we celebrated our first real revenue milestone, surrounded by a team that existed only because I refused to quit on nights the world felt unbearably heavy, I understood what the journey had truly been about. Not survival, not success, not validation, becoming someone capable of leading, becoming someone capable of trusting again. Becoming someone shaped not by the absence of support but by the resilience built in the silence. And as I look back now at the storms, the loneliness, the doubt, the tiny miracles that pulled me forward, I can say this with absolute clarity. The solo founder's journey is not defined by being alone, but by who you become because you were. And just when I thought about how far that becoming had taken me, I realized the next transformation would begin the moment I decided whether I was finally ready to trust someone else with the dream I had carried alone for so long, to loosen the grip that loneliness had carved into my instincts, and to allow this thing I had built not just with code and strategy, but with fear and stubbornness and sleepless nights, to become bigger than me. Because that is the final crucible of every solo founder's journey. Learning that strength isn't proven by how much you can hold alone, but by how gracefully you can let others hold it with you. The first time I delegated something meaningful, I felt physically sick. It wasn't because I doubted her ability. It was because my identity had fused so tightly with the act of doing everything myself that letting go felt like betrayal. For years, my survival depended on my ability to carry every burden. Suddenly, I was being asked, by circumstance, by growth, by truth, to let someone else carry a piece of it. It felt unnatural. But growth is always unnatural at first, so I let go. A little, then a little more, and with each step, the company expanded into the space my fear once occupied. The product improved. The support improved. The customers felt more seen. The late nights became less suffocating, and I began to understand something I had refused to see earlier. Being a solo founder is not about doing everything alone. It's about learning what only you can do. And what only I could do was lead, not micromanage, not control, not cling. Lead. But leading after years of solitude is like learning to speak again after months of silence. I stumbled. I overcorrected. I apologized more times than I can count. But with every mistake, my team taught me something profound. People don't expect perfection. They expect presence. They expect truth. They expect someone who won't disappear when things get hard. And that was a role I knew I could grow into. As the team grew, so did the company. What once felt like a fragile, flickering idea now pulsed with the force of a living organism. I watched new hires build systems I never could have imagined, watched decisions get made without me in the room, watched momentum form from collaboration rather than sheer willpower. The company was no longer an extension of my identity. It was becoming its own entity. And instead of fearing that, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief. But as with every chapter in the solo founder's story, relief didn't last long, because the next challenge wasn't how to build alone, it was how to lead together. Teams bring brilliance. Teams also bring conflict. And I had spent so many years talking only to myself that navigating disagreements felt like another mountain to climb. The first major conflict nearly broke me. Two leaders, both brilliant, both passionate, both convinced the other was destroying the product. Their tension infected the entire team. Productivity stalled. Morale cracked. Suddenly, I wasn't fixing bugs or writing code. I was mediating, listening, absorbing pain that wasn't mine but had become mine by responsibility. Being a solo founder teaches you how to survive. Leading a team teaches you how to serve. And in that conflict, I learned the lesson that carried me through every hard chapter afterward. Your job is not to keep the peace. Your job is to protect the mission and the people carrying it. So I made the hard call. I sided with the leader, whose vision aligned with the long-term truth of the product, not the short-term comfort of harmony. It was painful. It upset people. It created ripples I had to soothe for months. But it was the right decision, and the moment the team saw that I was willing to make hard choices for the right reasons, something shifted. They began to trust me, not just as the founder, but as their leader. That trust became the backbone of everything we built next. With that trust came speed, creativity, and a culture that no longer relied on me, but was still shaped by me. That's the strange paradox of transitioning from solo founder to leader. Your job becomes less visible, yet more crucial. You are no longer the hands building. You are the gravity that keeps everything orbiting in alignment. And as the company grew from a one-person dream into a multi-person force, I watched something beautiful unfold. The mission that once kept me awake at night now kept them awake too, but not out of fear, out of passion, out of ownership, out of belief. And that was the moment I realized the greatest triumph of the solo founder isn't surviving alone. It's inspiring others to carry a dream that once only lived inside your chest. Years later, on a random afternoon, I walked into the office and overheard two employees explaining the company's purpose to a new hire. They spoke with conviction, with pride, with an intimacy that startled me. They didn't quote my words, they quoted their understanding, their lived experience, their version of the mission. That was the day I understood I had built something truly alive, something independent, something that no longer needed me for every decision but still reflected my fingerprints on every wall. People imagine the triumph of the solo founder as the exit or the IPO or the headline-worthy milestone. But the real triumph, the one that actually stays with you, is the moment your company stops being your burden and becomes your legacy. The moment you are no longer holding it alone, because the weight has become a shared purpose. The moment you can step back, not out of exhaustion, but out of trust. And as I look back now, at the boy I was when I began this journey, tired, scared, stubborn, so painfully alone, I wish I could tell him one thing. You won't be alone forever. The loneliness is shaping you. The struggle is preparing you. And the people you dream of building with, they're waiting for you at the end of this long, brutal, beautiful road. And if this story stirred something inside you, if it reminded you that your loneliness has meaning, that your fight has purpose, that your journey will not end the way it began, tell me in the comments what part hit hardest. And if you want more unfiltered, battle-scarred founder stories like this, hit follow, because your next chapter is already forming in the dark, even if you can't see it yet.